Kindness makes a massive impact. I remember about 30 years ago, hadn't long started anaesthetics, and the Dunblane shootings happened. And about 5 or 6 hours I was in theatre, and I came out and one of the nurses said, Maureen, who's still a very good friend, said, "Here's some tea and toast. Just sit there for a minute." And it was almost overwhelming because it was one of the most traumatic days I've ever experienced. But just somebody humanising it, appreciating that you hadn't been out of theatre, that it was all stress, that you'd been forgotten about, which wouldn't have happened ordinarily. But just the it was as if you'd been given a lottery win, just by somebody being kind to you. The other day, one of my colleagues in radiology said, "Anybody want a coffee?" And I thought, well, that's nice. That makes a huge difference. And for people to make tiny gestures. I remember about 10 years ago, another doctor I was working with, I had examined somebody or spoken to the family, and they said, "I thought you did that really well." And I just about fell off my perch because I don't think anyone said that to me. We tend to dismiss, what we're doing is just our job, and we tend to go unappreciated. And often, if we don't make mistakes, that's usually like in the baseline, not that we think we're any good. And one of the staff grades, once we had a particularly sad death in intensive care, she organised pizzas to be delivered to the ward and ice cream. It just cheered up everyone, and I thought it was incredibly kind to look and think that made a difference to people. Somebody thought about somebody else's welfare, and just a wee bit of kindness, especially when people feel vulnerable. But it can really be revolutionary just to kind of comfort somebody, and that's when I think it's really noticed the most.